22 minutes past 5. Good evening from BBC Tees. Now, the government's defending its decision to send leaflets to every home, setting out the case for remaining in the EU. Those campaigning to leave, though, say it's pro-European propaganda and it's costing taxpayers more than £9 million. When the official campaign starts next week, each side's going to be allocated £7 million of public money to spend. Well, David Cameron still defended the move.
I don't want anyone to go to the polls thinking, well, on the one hand, on the other hand, I'm not quite sure what the government thinks. I think I'll vote this way or that way. I want everyone in the country to know just how strongly the government that works on your behalf, you may not agree with everything it does, but works on your behalf, I want everyone to know how strongly we feel that the right choice is to stay in.
Right, let's speak now to Phillip Broughton, who stood for UKIP in Hartlepool in last year's general election. Phillip, good evening.
Hello, Lisa.
I don't think I need to ask you your reaction to this, but I will. So what do you think?
Well, I think it's clearly a stitch-up. I mean, this referendum is basically is becoming a stitch-up with this government. What they are trying to do is they are desperate, the EU is desperate, they want to avoid a fair fight in this referendum. You know, both sides getting £7 million on the campaign is a fair referendum where both sides get equal time, and now what the government's doing is they're going to spend an extra £9.3 million to basically try and fix this referendum. It's an absolute outrage, it's unfair, it's undemocratic, and quite frankly, it's an affront to democracy.
Well, they haven't done anything wrong. You've got to put this in context as well. They haven't done anything wrong. And also, they did it before in the 1975 referendum. They did it before the Scottish independence referendum. This is no different.
Yeah, but what this is basically the government is putting out a propaganda leaflet just before a referendum to try and influence people to vote in a certain way. It is to try and fix the result of the referendum. And I say this to them, you know, they might think they're doing the right thing here, but if people think that they've been conned in this referendum campaign, that will come back to haunt this government and to haunt back the political class. Because what we have is the political class, the big banks, the big businesses are all in this together to try and force the British people into staying in this EU. You know, we are paying £55 million every day to be in this European Union. We don't have control of our laws. 75% of our laws are made in Europe by unelected EU Commission, which we have no control over. We can't control our own borders. We can't make our own trade deals. And what I say to people is, you know, on June 23rd, they need to come out and vote to leave the European Union so we can get back control.
And you know, we've got 11 weeks to discuss that, Phillip, and all of those arguments we will go through, of course we will. But on this particular subject, if you were in favour of staying in the EU, would this make a difference to you, this leaflet that's been sent out?
I think it's bound to make a difference because, look, let's be honest, the Leave campaign is going to have £7 million to fight this campaign. With this extra fixed top-up that the government are doing of £9.3 million, that means the Remain campaign is going to have almost double the amount of money at £16.3 million. So, I mean, it's clearly not fair that one side has half the money that the other side has. And, you know, I know you've been talking today about steel. You know, the fact is we can't do anything to help our steel industry because the European Union will not allow us to. And we have a government in Westminster with the Conservatives that is not bothered about Britain. It spends money on everything other than our steel industry, when it should be supporting our steel industry with a short-term loan. It's spending money on foreign aid, $12 billion. It's spending $60 billion on HS2, another $5 billion on the Barnett formula, you know, and a $10 billion net contribution to the EU. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. This is a government with the wrong priorities. We need a government that actually cares about Britain, that actually looks out for the priorities of the British people and actually governs this country properly.
Do you think in some ways this could in some ways actually help the Leave campaign, Phillip, because there's been a bit of a backlash here? It paints the Leave side as a little bit of an underdog in some ways.
I think you may be right. I mean, in all honesty, I think people can see that the political class is trying to fix this referendum.
But how can you fix a referendum? It's a democratic procedure. Everybody's got to vote.
Look, Lisa, listen.
Everybody's got to vote, Phillip. That's a fact.
No, of course they do. But if you're spending double the amount of money, one side spending double the amount of money, it's absolutely outrageous. It's like the government before a general election saying, oh, well, let's put a leaflet out, you know, 10 weeks before a general election. If they did this before a general election,
they always make announcements before
outrage.
General elections. Of course, that's the way politics works.
No, I'm afraid this is a government with the wrong priorities, and this is a government that is trying to stitch up this referendum, and I think it will come back to haunt them.
Phillip, good to hear from you this afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the line. Phillip Broughton there, and his thoughts on this leaflet. This is BBC Tees, 27 minutes past 5 o'clock.